All right. Well, good evening and welcome to TARC Talks, the May edition. Tonight, it's a privilege to have the team from the Hillsborough Area Races group, and they're going to be presenting to us tonight what they do, how they do it, and how we can become involved. One of the big things about being a hammer operator is an opportunity to give back to the community. And one way we can give back to the community is through ARES Races. So I am going to introduce Skip to you. Skip will introduce the rest of the group. And as we normally do, we'll let them go through their program tonight. And then at the end, we will open it up for questions. Obviously, if you notice at the very bottom, you've got the screen down there that says chat. If you've got a question you'd like to put in the chat room, that way we can use that at the end, or you just wait till the end and then state your questions. So Skip, KD4 IOF, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. We are very happy tonight to be able to have the leadership from ARES Races here. I know you have to put up with me every month making the announcements and stuff, and you don't ever get to see those that actually run the place. So tonight you get to see Bill Miller, who is the boss, and you get to see Chris Chandler, who is the deputy EC.
He's really the boss.
And we have a lot of work that ARES Races does, but when an emergency pops up, it's all hands on deck, and we don't really have enough hands on deck most of the time. And we've been fortunate to not have had a direct hit, but if we were to have it, we would really need your support. And I'm going to start the slideshow, and so that you can officially know who it is that is running the show. And we're going to start sharing the slideshow with you. And this is the slideshow for tonight. It's ARES Races, and we're here at your invitation for TARC Talks. We are very glad that you have allowed us to be here tonight. And the two important people that you will be hearing from tonight that we're very happy to have here are, of course, Bill Miller, who is the emergency coordinator and is the head person that has to deal with the county, and then the deputy EC and chief of staff, Chris Chandler. Now, there's a lot of other people out there that are on the team that make it all work. But there's a problem there that you're going to see that Bill and Chris will talk about. It's in red. We have an open position. We need people to help us. We need volunteers badly. So I'll turn it over to Bill and let him start by telling us what it is that we need.
Good evening, everybody. Just a quick thing about me. I'm retired military, have been retired since 1993, and I've got a lot of operational experience from the Navy, and I've been in ARES Races since 1980. So I am still learning every day. I think any ham that is actively involved will be doing the same thing. So it is. Our net communications manager is a twofold position. One that Skip's been doing, making the announcements, but two, any of our nets that we have to try to build reports on, or if we need to establish new nets, that person's going to be responsible for that. we need more net control operators for Thursday's ARES net. We need more net controls in an emergency. I know Lou's got a team that will establish the Northeast Quadrant net. Sun City Center Radio Club will establish the South County ARES net, and we'll manage the Northeast County out of the PSOC. So yes, we need a number of net controls to help out in those areas. But it's not just the net controls. Having net controls doesn't do you any good if you don't have people that can go to the shelters. What I'm doing now, or what I've just done, is I've got all of the zip codes that are in the Hillsborough County evacuation areas. And the ARRL is setting me up with a mailing list of all those amateurs that have to evacuate. And there's going to be a general question, a little more politically correct than this, but if you evacuate to a shelter, would you be willing to be a net control, especially if we can provide the equipment? Because we have 10 and should maybe have an 11th here real soon. Go kits to send to the shelters. And in the past, we haven't opened up more than 10 or 11 shelters. There are 66 in the resources available to the county, but 10 or 11 is about all they do. Chris, you got anything to add?
Well, just to touch on those go kits, just so y'all know, it's nothing big and bulky that you have to contend with. These things are it's in a 50 cal ammo can. So they're very small, very compact. You open a can up, attach the antenna, and you're ready to go, basically. It's just flip and go. It's very simple. That's all I've got for that.
Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the weekly ARES net. Now we have a net, but so far we don't have a lot of participation. And some things that I have heard is that people thought they didn't need to participate because they're on other nets. Let me tell you, we need to recognize your call letters and the sound of your voice for us to be able, during hard traffic times, to know that you're there. So every Thursday at 1930 hours on the W4 BCI repeater, which is 444.225 megahertz with a PL tone of 146.2, we need to have you there. If you get used to checking in there on a regular basis, we get used to the sound of your voice. And when it's a very noisy situation during an actual event, when repeaters aren't working, trust me, it's important that we be able to pick your call out of the noise and pick your voice out. So check in there as often as you can, because that helps us get to know you and you get to know us. Now, another big thing that is going on out there, a lot of y'all have tried to email folks, and we have some big email changes going on. If you've tried to contact hcaresraces.org and you don't hear anything back from who you emailed, it's because it is no longer available. And because it's no longer available, we have changed our email, but the only thing that you've got to remember to change is the .org is now .net. that will allow you to get in touch with us. And we understand from all of the emails and stuff that there have been issues when you've tried to check into the website. And this is the website that we normally are looking at. And that website is being worked on. And just recently, we've had a lot of the events and stuff added. So if you have actually gone there to hillsboroughARES.org events, you can see some new stuff that's actually appearing there. Does Bill or Chris want to make any comments about that?
Yeah, I'll step in here in just a second. As far as the group's IO goes, if anybody has any questions that need to go out to any of us, get on there and post the question. And I more than likely will be the one that's going to answer you, because it chimes right in my ear, because I sit here and have nothing else better to do. So, if you got a question, I will answer you almost immediately. And if I don't, I will make sure that I get back to you before the day is over with.
Well, the events have been updated, and things that you will see there are the meetings as you look at the calendar, the training classes that will be coming soon. There's a lot of discussion about getting technician and general class license classes going again, and other types of classes, but anything will be there. And the advantage classes that happen on the third Saturday each month. That's an ongoing thing that helps fill in with training, especially during the times when it's hard for people to get there. And one thing that is real important out there for our group is we need more radio operators. And maybe Chris or Bill might want to tell you about the things that we need out there.
Yeah, go ahead and put them all up right now, Skip. I'll take it here for a couple minutes. Yes, we talked about shelters earlier. There's 3 kinds of shelters. The gen population is for everybody. The special needs shelters are the people that need something special, like oxygen or power for their CPAP or whatever their need is. And the BOCC shelters are neat. They are shelters in all the same respects that the other ones are, but they're for the county personnel that have to work the emergency. So, a lot of people say, I do it, but my dog it, my wife it, my mother, she, have got all these excuses, my kids. So what they've done at the BOCC shelter is they have somebody assigned there to take care of the children, to support the older population, and they've got somebody to take care of the animals. So for the most part, they've eliminated concerns for the county workers that are going out there for the emergency. And I think that's a great step by the county. And by the way, the net controls and my staff are able to use the BOCC shelters. So if you want to help out and you're worried about the same sort of things, I can arrange to have you use one of those. So it's not only the shelters, like we said earlier, we need net control operators. As we bring in, and let's go to the next one, Skip. As we bring in more messaging, eventually we will try to get the messaging into the shelters, but we're not there yet. We need to train more WinLink operators. WinLink is better than voice, especially if you have a number of health and welfare messages you want to do. You have resource order and things like medicines that have 15 characters and no vowels. They're much better to go over WinLink than they are over voice. We do training. I'm trying to set one up down in South County right now. But what go to the next one? What we've really done is we've expanded the ability of moving messages. We've set up 2 WinLink RMS multimode stations, one at the Kings Point Radio Club in South County and one at the PSOC. What we're running right now is N4HCA10 is the VHF for WinLink at the South County. At Kings Point, we have packet on 145.050, and we have Vera FM on 145.030. Some of the changes, and we have Sun City and Bartow that can do the VHF. The problem with those two is they are tied to the internet. The ones at Kings Point and the PSOC are multi-mode, so that if we get a message in and the internet's not available, it will send it out over HF to another station that has internet access. Sun City and Bartow can't do that right now. Where we're going with that is I intend to ask Vera FM up at the PSOC, and we're looking at adding Vera HF to both the PSOC and Kings Point. And this will help the people that do not want to spend the money for a Pactor modem. So they aren't cheap, but you've got to use Pactor to do the forwarding. So right now, I've got a Pactor 4 modem at at PSOC, and we've got a Pactor 3 modem at Sun City. And I'm also building a portable tri-mode case, which will probably be just packet and Pactor that we can send out someplace if we need to. So we've really made some major jumps there, and we still got some more pieces to come in. People that are using it now are happy with the way it's working. We invite everybody to make use of it. So that's what we're doing with the RMS stations. Chris, you got anything else to add?
Not for that, I don't know.
Okay. Why don't you take this next one?
Okay. Coming up June 16th and the 19th we have a mandatory all members for ARES races meeting at the PSOC. It's going to be in the main room. You don't have to attend both, but you do need to attend at least one. And this is basically going to get you updated about what has been going on and what we're planning on doing, so that everybody is on the same page and not sitting back going, what's the deal? What's the plan? So you're more than welcome to come to at least one of them. And the dates are right there on the screen for you to see.
And make sure you bring your smile. The reason there's a smile is Bill has something exciting for us that have been for a long time wondering about ID, and pictures are going to be taken. And it's to get prepared for the ID badges. ID badges will be made for all who qualify. And then you're going to say, what do I need to do to qualify? If you're not signed up, the first thing you need to do is sign up. It's very important that you actually sign up, that you do the various courses and whatnot, because one of the requirements for getting the badge is that you actually have taken the courses that you're supposed to take, and you protect yourself by having the proper credentials and go only where you're sent. I know a lot of people think, well, I'll just pick a shelter and I'll go. No, because if you did and you fell down and got hurt, that's your problem. If you have actually gone through the steps of signing up and you go where Bill and Chris tell you to go to a shelter, if you fall down and get hurt, there's liability coverage for you. But if you just go showing up, I'm going to do my own thing, you're not covered. So it is important that you follow the rules. And then there are the FEMA courses that need to be taken. People are going to say, why do I need to take the courses? Well, I think that's pretty obvious, because those courses will train you the rules, the terminology, and I don't know how many of you that have ever in your past life been a CB operator. And if you wanted to give an affirmative answer, it was 10-4, good buddy. And then you became a ham and you were going to give an affirmative answer and you wanted to do like everybody else. And you wanted to be able to say QSL. And if you worked for the fire department, they're going to have their own slang. Well, part of the reason for having these courses so that everybody knows the same set of rules, everybody will be using the same terminology so that we can all be speaking the same languages. Now, there are several courses that you take, and they're all from FEMA. And this is the list of the courses that you need. And I'm sure that Bill or Chris want to tell you the importance of these classes.
I'll take it for the next couple. One of the biggest things that is important with these courses is the what he said about knowing the terminology, knowing what forms are used when. Because if you're one of the operators and we told you to get a 213 for that order, you know, we're not going to take it otherwise, or whatever it might be, you need to know what form to pull out and go get with your customer and get it filled out and then transmit it to us by whatever means. One of the nice things with WinLink is the forms are built into it. So all you do is get the message, type it in, and when it transmits what form it is and the data. It doesn't transmit the whole form. So we unclog the system a little bit by doing that. And you get to know the structure of the chain of command and some other things. Those that have been in the military understand the importance of following the leader and so on and so forth. In discussions with the county, and a county requirement for their employees to go through an active shooter, they've agreed to accept that ICS 907 course so that we don't have to go take a 2-day class on active shooters. So that is why we're asking for the 907 course. Now, he said there's something exciting at these 2 meetings. The 2 big things are you'll have the opportunity to submit any certificates you have that may be in question, and you can go on the members' website and see what you've claimed you've got credit for. We ask you to bring the exams. With Roy passing away and some other things that have happened, training officers changing, we don't have a reliable set of certificates to back up our people, if there is something that happened. So that's why we asked you to bring your certificates to the mandatory meeting. Now, if you want, you can go up to the FEMA site, or if you've entered them into FL Cert, All we really need is the summary of all your classes. We don't need all, like one guy I know has got about 30 classes. We don't need all the certificates. We just need the summary of what you've completed. The other reason we're doing this, and he said the badges, yes, we're going to badge people that have the courses that are starting to get active. This helps to cover you when you're out. And then when you show up at a shelter or wherever you're assigned, you've got a badge that says you're who and you work for the fire department. And those of you that seen the badges that Skip and Chris and I wear, these badges look identical to it. The only thing is you don't have access to the unescorted access or 24-hour access like we do to the PSOC. So the other thing we're going to do is Chris and I will sign off the task books. The task books is another thing that's required by the Florida emergency manager. And, people when they first heard it are, why do I have to do that? What extra is this going to be? Well, if you sit down and look at it, probably 90% of you have completed 80% of what's in there just by what you've done in the past. For instance, putting a PL259 connector on a cable. I venture to say most hams have participated or done that. How to make up a power pole connection. So they're not go out and compute an antenna or anything major like the exams are. It's just skills that you should have if you're going off into emergency and you may have to put up antennas that out of nothing or any of that sort of thing on site. And that's why it's doing it. The reason we're using the Florida task book is a lot of us emergency coordinators felt that some of the stuff in the ARRL one was just out of whack. For instance, one of the courses the ARRL task book had was a course that FEMA did away with a 3 years ago. So how are you going to do that one? So the Florida task book is much pared down. Go ahead, Chris or Skip, and talk about the amateur classes.
There are amateur classes that are important that we need to be telling other people about. The technician and general class license courses that are going to be coming soon at the PSOC, and there are some already available on Zoom. We need to get more ham radio operators in the group. We need to talk to our friends. When you are out just wandering around, carry a HT with you that's visible so that somebody can say to you, what's that? And that gives you an opportunity to explain what it is, why it is. And when there's license classes available, you're able to share with them. Some of you are members of prepper groups. Most of those want to have ham licenses. Let them know that they're out there. And there will be announcements coming soon that will say exactly when the classes are available and where. And please let your friends know, because you've got friends that have shown a little bit of interest. And I mean, there are a lot of fish out there in the bay, but if we don't go dangle a hook out there, we'll never catch one. So if we show them what we're doing, why we're doing it, get them interested, let your friends know, convince them to come to a class, and it would be a wonderful thing. We have additional needs out there for all kinds of things to be going on. We need people that have special radio skills. And I happen to know that there are a lot of people out there in this club that are listening right now that are qualified to teach and could actually help us out by teaching the various classes that are needed. If you have a special skill or are already qualified to teach a class, you have slides prepared, or you want to use some already prepared slides by somebody else, please contact Danny Connor. That's dconnor@hcaresraces.net, and let him know that you are willing and available. And trust me, there will be people wanting to put you into a teaching position. And there are other classes that are available. The EC 001 from ARRL is recommended and can really cover a lot of information for you. Other pieces of training that are offered are like evacuation center radio operators. It's very simple courses to take, but it's extremely important, because if you don't know what it is that you do while you're there, you may have some person come up to you and say, hey, why don't you put the radio down? We've got a big water spill over here. Come help us mop it up. That's not your job. If you've been trained as a radio operator for one of these evacuation centers, you know that your job is to operate the radio and handle messages. And otherwise, if you don't know what it is you're there to do, there's no telling what you'll wind up doing, because you would just go wander around and do it. Also, one of the forms that had been mentioned was the ICS 213 message handling form. And those things are sometimes a little confusing to fill out. And we have offered in the past, and will be again in the future, a class on exactly how to fill it out so that it's not a problem. And then, of course, there's EOC operations. Bill, I know, has already made the offer available that if you want to come help him, he can find a place for you to help at the PSOC. But there's also training out there that is not just for the emergency situations. What about WinLink training? You heard Bill say that he's going to be offering WinLink training down south. Trust me, it's worth the drive to go there. If there's no other class that's close to you about it, it is well worth the drive to go take Bill's class, because learning to be able to do WinLink over email is just a wonderful thing to happen. And I have sat in Bill's class before and actually took a class from him on WinLink. Trust me, it's something that you would like to do. And then, of course, there's the class for net control operator and how to handle traffic messages. Because if you don't know and haven't practiced, and trust me, one of the things that you learn when you actually take the class on handling the traffic is that if you're talking as fast as I'm talking and trying to give a message to somebody, they're going to get it all wrong. And one of the things that they'll teach you in that class is for you to write it down while you're saying it, because then you will slow down. And if something is confusing, you will spell it, and you'll learn to say, I spell numbers. It's an important class. Then, of course, there are the advantage classes that happen once a month. The next one that's coming up is for Go Kit building. If you want to build your own Go Kit, that class will teach you how to do it. The PSOC has a number of Go Kits that are small that they can give you, but it would be much better if the people that came to volunteer had them so that when somebody that didn't have portable equipment needed one, they could pick one up at the PSOC. There's a class on antenna tuning on the 17th. And then, of course, there is net control training on the 21st of August. Now, the next thing is something that a lot of you haven't seen in an awful long time, the Communicator. The last issue was in April of 2019. And it's time we're going to start it again. We will need news articles. And if you have anything that you would like, that you think is of interest to the ARES group that could go in their newsletter, just send a copy of what you would like to put in to lgraves@hcaresraces.net. It's something that is really going to be useful, and it's been an awful long time since we've had it. Right now, to get this emergency news out, we've got the groups IO. But when we're just wanting something to be able to put in your hand that you could then hand to a friend to try to get them interested in ham radio and ARES races, you've actually got a newsletter to be able to show somebody. Now, there are important nets out there. And these important nets happen every week. And we have the West Central Florida net happens on the Big Stick repeater. This net, the only bad thing about this net is that we actually have to report how many people we had check into our local net on Thursday night. And it would just be so nice if we had a lot more people checking into that net so that when we report, we've got good numbers to report and people can actually see that we're participating and doing our task. Now, the Big Stick, a lot of people want to go there for a bunch of various nets, but this next net, it happens at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, is the Skywarn net. And you need to be aware that if we actually have a disaster going on and your favorite net to use or repeater to use is the Big Stick because it covers so much space, if we are actually having a hurricane, they're going to take over the Big Stick. And you're going to have a place to be able to go report all of the weather that you're seeing. And it's very important stuff. And then, of course, once again, Thursday, 7:30, our net. Please, folks, check in as often as you can. I know everybody can't all the time, but the more we can get doing that, the more we can be familiar with the sound of your call and your voice so that when we're in a really bad situation and towers are down and we're having to listen through the noise, we'll know who it is that we're listening for. Now, this next one.
Let me add something to that, Skip.
Okay.
There's one that you should be aware of. It's not for general check-in, but it's going to be activated in an emergency. And every Wednesday at 1300, we run a net called the SARNET on the SARNET system for Florida. Those of you that haven't looked at the maps, pretty much the whole state is covered by those repeaters, and they're linked through the DOT microwave system. So, and now we've also started right after the StarNet, HFNet so that we can test and find the best frequency for that time of day. And again, it's for the EOCs and the staffing there. So be aware of it, because if you were to come in and work with us, you might be one of the net controls or operators to monitor that net for the real world situation for us. That's it, Skip.
That's important information. Now, this next slide is why join the ARRL. Listen, folks, we need somebody out there to be able to fight for us. And the most important thing that the ARRL does is not send out a magazine. The most important thing that they do is fight for our radio spectrum. As all of these new technologies are arising, people are trying to take space from us. We need the ARRL to fight for us. And beyond that, they offer insurance for your radio equipment. It's an important organization, and it's a good thing to join. And somebody's going to say, well, yeah, but they charge you for the magazine. Well, that's okay. If we're putting some money into them and they're fighting for us, and right now there's a bunch of chatter going on by the ARRL to the FCC, because as you know, they're wanting now to start charging for your ham license. And the only people out there that's going to fight for you is going to be the ARRL and you. So you can also be sending in emails to your Congress people and the various leader positions, telling them that they need us in an emergency. And they don't want people to start dropping out because they don't want to be able to pay the bill. Now, speaking of bills, people want to know, where do we get our money to be able to do what we do? We are financed by getting grants, and we get those nice go kits that Bill is telling you. They can put one in your hand if you don't have one and you're working an emergency. We get those things because of grants, and those grants are all based on volunteer hours. And any of you that are members of ARES Races should know that if you go to the members website and log in, there is a place there for you to put in the hours that you do things for ARES. And you say, well, I don't do that much for ARES. If you go check into the net and you sit there for the 15 minutes of the net, you can actually put that down as time that you spent. And when you do that, that turns into money and grants for Bill to be able to get more equipment, more go kits, more things that we need. And it doesn't take any skin off of your nose and no big effort, because you can go to that website and enter your hours, and it only takes a couple of minutes and you get paid. Now, they don't ever give you any of the money, but it comes into the organization. And my understanding is they're getting 20 some bucks an hour for all of the time that we enter into that website. We need to be able to get the necessary equipment and support our organization. And all you got to do is go to the website, and right here in the middle, you see where it says enter volunteer hours. Volunteer hours are very, very important. Please, all that are members, enter your hours so we can get credit for it and we can actually have more money to do more things for the ARES organization. Now, there's a lot of people out there that like helping other people, but there are a lot of people that don't volunteer as much as they should, but we need more Elmers. An Elmer is anybody that is willing to help another ham. Now, I know some of you guys will go over to a new ham's house, help them put an antenna up and do all these wonderful things. And that is wonderful, but you need to let the new hams know that you're there and available. It's very important. And one of the places that you could actually be directing these newbies to, and you could be telling people that you're available to help, is on the ARES Weekly Net. That, like we said before, it's every Thursday. It's on the W4BCI repeater. And it's really, really important that you make yourself available to help others. That's what hams do. Hams help other hams. Hams do things like when there is a charity walk going on, they go volunteer. All of these things that are done are just so important. And we need volunteers to help with everything that is out there going on. It's very important. Now we come to the more fun part of the meeting, where we will go to questions, and we will see if we can stop this.
Before we go to questions, Skip, I want to add a summary to this.
Okay.
I have a very good staff. Essentially, all I have to do is make decisions and provide guidance, and they all take their jobs and run with it. But, you know, without them, we wouldn't have a team and we wouldn't have the county's respect. And to give you an idea, there's a number of counties that the amateurs can't even get into the EOC. And not only can we get into it, but my critical staff all has 7x24 access to it. So even if there's nothing going on, they can go there and do stuff. They all work hard, and I'm grateful to them. But, you know, as he said, and I can't say it enough, we can't do it without the rest of you. We don't have volunteers to be net controls. We don't have volunteers to go to shelters. One of the things on our to-do list in an emergency is send hams to the battalion chiefs to back up the 800 system. So, you know, it takes a number of people. Both radio stations at Kings Point and at the PSOC are well equipped, but we're still improving them. The PSOC has Marine Band and Air Band if necessary. Kings Point has Marine Band, and we're all licensed. So we really need you guys. And as far as reporting your hours, as Skip said, if you do a net, put it in your hours. If you do a training course that you can attribute to ARES races, put it in your hours. If you come help us on a project, put it in the hours. So, you know, as long as we can justify that it's in support of ARES races, it will count. So I really need the help. And we're open for questions now if anybody's got any.
Feel free to go ahead and unmute if you'd like to ask a question. And anybody?
Okay, you know that I'm always going to ask a question. This is I'm always good for a question or two.
Dawn, give us your name and your call sign as you're asking questions tonight.
Sure. So it's Dawn Kenyon, and it's Kilo Oscar 4, Mike Golf X-ray. So a couple questions on it. One of them is, you know, we registered ourselves back in March for ARES races on the Hillsborough website, and we'd love to log hours, but it doesn't recognize us yet. And Dawn Drury indicated that it's not recognizing new members to load up your credentials and your training and things like that. Any word on when that'll happen? Because I mean, we've done our training and we've been logging into nets. We'd love to log that, but we can't at the moment even sign on.
Okay, I wasn't aware that's working. We do have an AEC for IT now, John Drury, and I'll get in touch with him and see what's going on.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we can't load our training just yet, and we didn't realize we could log hours for things like, you know, this or training or the net, but we'll do so. Just let us know when we're clear to, you know, log on, and then we'll do that. That's great. And then just, you know, a comment. Dan, he has his general license and he is more extroverted than I am, believe it or not. He will do net control as a volunteer. Just give us a few weeks. We're still trying to figure out the grounding for our main antenna so that we're not doing it from, you know, our HTs, but you have a volunteer. Just give us a few weeks and we'll do that.
All right, sounds good,
Fantastic.
Don. We appreciate that.
Any other comments or questions for the team?
Yeah, Bill, Bill Barron here. I've got a question for you, Bill.
Sure.
Yeah, is there going to be a county drill this year or did I miss it?
No, the county drill is supposed to be coming up in July, and all we've gotten so far from the county is to save the date.
Okay. Do you know what the date is, or is it a?
Not off the top of my head. I have to go research my email. It's one of the questions I've got to go ask Tim Dudley, our emergency manager, on Wednesday when I'm there. And
Okay, very good. Yeah, because I'm always interested in the drills. Maybe we get to send a few WinLink emails up to you guys.
yeah, and for everybody that's on, I'm in the EOC anywhere between 8 and 10 on, 8 and 11 on Wednesday to, you know, I've been there as late as 5:30. And you're welcome to come visit during those times. So, or if you need some help with something, go ahead and come over and visit us, and we'll help you out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Skip, could you give us your web address and an email address one more time before we close tonight? Just so if everybody has that.
The website is Hillsborough ARES.org. It's being worked on, so some of the stuff is not going to be working right, but if you go to events, that's working just fine with the dates and stuff being entered. And also, if you go to the members page, you can actually get copies of the county's plan. You can get copies of the 213 and whatnot that you could print to have available in your hand. That part of the website is working. Now, if you could try to go over to looking at the organizational charts and stuff, none of that has been touched yet. But Dawn spent a lot of time last week trying to get all of these various things for dates entered into the calendar, and she is continuing, and she has contacted the webmaster for the members website where you're having trouble getting in and you can't enter your hours. They are actively working on that now. That's not something that they're working on in the future. They're working on it now. And Dawn will give a blast out as soon as they've got that available so that Dan and Dawn will be able to go there and enter their hours because it is so important to us.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Joe?
Larry,
Yeah, go ahead, Biff.
did you announce our date in June for the training and the grand reopening by any chance?
I have not. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Oh, why don't you do that? Because your voice sounds better. I'm in the car still.
Oh, okay. Now you're going to make me look it up. The training, I believe, is the 19th of June. This will be for newer hams, and it's sort of like a ham 101. We'll be going over, and this will be at the clubhouse, at the TARC clubhouse. And again, that's June the 19th. I believe it, Biff, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Am I correct?
2 to 5,
Okay.
and we're gonna have pizza for everybody.
All right, 2 to 5 and free pizza for everyone. Again, for newer hams, we'll be getting out a newsletter on that very shortly because we're going to want you to register for that. Also, the 31st of July, we have our grand reopening of the TARC House. We have been able to get it cleaned up, and by that time, everyone should be safe. So we're going to have a grand family picnic for all the TARC members and their guests. That's going to be from 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock. And again, we'll have free food. Oh, sorry, no pizza, but it will be hamburgers and hot dogs and the fixings that go with it. So be looking for that Saturday, July 31st. Thanks, Biff, for bringing that up. And again, more information will be going out on that. This evening, also be looking at your email box. TARC tips number 2 just went out tonight. And Lou, W4LT, was the contributor to that. And we got part 1 of how to use PTL, CSS tones. I'll get it straight on the repeater. So, and then Lou, you have an announcement because I think you turned the repeater off this evening for a little bit. Can you just kind of fill us in on what's going on there?
Oh, no, I haven't turned it off.
Oh, okay.
It's still running, but there's some child, I would say anywhere from 6 to 9, maybe 10 years old, that has gotten a handy talkie and is asking a bunch of stuff, trying to, get on the repeater, press touch tones, et cetera, et cetera. So the signal's not very strong, and it's not in my area because I've listened to the input and I can't hear him. So if you're a parent and one of your handy talkies is missing every once in a while, you might want to check. Might want to check your kid's bedroom. If not, if you do hear this child, please don't try to engage them. Tell them that things are illegal. That you're breaking the law, etc. Just ignore them. The signal's not that loud. You can talk over them anyway. If it gets to be too crazy, I'll shut down the repeater for about 45 minutes to an hour to kind of dissuade him from continuing. And I say him because it sounds like a boy. And as I said in my email, I was once a boy. I would do things like this. so, and I have a son too. So anyway, that's what's going on. If you find the repeater is down, that's probably the reason why.
All right. Thanks, Lou. All right. Any other comments or questions before we close TARCnet? Gentlemen, thank you so much. Bill, Chris, Skip, appreciate it. Great information. And I hope everyone will take heed, and they will just be inundated with emails and phone calls and visits to the PSOC the next week, wanting to volunteer and to jump in there. Again, we're getting very close to the beginning of hurricane season. And now's the time to to get ready for it. So they certainly need your help. It's a great organization. So thank you all. Bill?
Yeah, Larry, I was going to say, you're absolutely right. Hurricane season's 2 weeks away. People need to make sure they've got their go kits or even their self-help kits with their food and stuff. And those that didn't realize it last year, FEMA has changed the recommendation from 72 hours worth of food to 7 days worth of food. So keep that in mind. And the important thing is to stay safe. And when I close presentations with the county and other organizations, one of my last statements is, it's a good day when the county doesn't need us.
Absolutely true. That is very true. All right. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much. I have recorded this. So if you get back on the TARC website, the next few days, Dan will be posting this and you can go back and review this again. And please stay in contact. Thanks so much and have a great evening. Stay safe out there.